6 million of our brothers and sisters, including 1.5 million children, were tortured, starved to death, murdered, and reduced to ashes. Those ashes were used for fertilizer. They made soap from our bodies. The formula is available because it went through the Nuremberg trials, so you can read it, you can see it on paper, how they made the soap.
Rachel!
They also made lampshades from our skins, especially those skins that were tattooed. This was done by a woman by the name of Elsa Koch. She was nicknamed the Bitch of Buchenwald. They also made gloves from human skins. I saw those gloves in the Ukraine in one of the museums. It was the biggest catastrophe, the biggest mass murder in the history of mankind. And guess what? The world did nothing, almost nothing. I was born in 1926 in Jasina, Czechoslovakia, near the highest point of the Carpathian Mountains, a beautiful place. We had snow on top of the mountains all year round, so there was a lot of skiing, skating, and having a good time playing soccer. I was born in a Jewish, kosher, Orthodox home. I need to say a few words about home, the home life, the unity of the family, the closeness, the sharing, the giving, the receiving, such a close family, the family life, the foundation of a human being, it's the most important things that we can have. This is where we start building up. The unity of a family is stronger than that, and I may talk about that. When I was about 4 years old, I started to go to Cheder. Cheder, the whole school system was consisted of one room, about half the size of this room here, in a private home, and we had children in there anywhere from 4 on up to 18. The older ones were teaching the younger ones. We had a shortage of books, so we signed a book from on into the table till it comes back. We had a shortage of pencils, so we cut a pencil in 3. Maybe the shortage was not in the pencils and the books, the money to buy it. We were poor people. We didn't have electricity, we didn't have running water, but we were anxious to study, to learn. To Cheder, we had to carry firewood under the arm and a little bottle of kerosene, so we'll have some heat, especially in the winter time, because we had long, cold winters and short summers. When I was about 5 years old, my father put me on his bicycle and he says, we have to go and do a good deed. A synagogue was being built. A synagogue is a Jewish church, by the way, for those. Synagogue is being built. He put down a brick there, and he paid a certain amount of money. I put on a brick, and he paid a certain amount of money. And he instructed me that whenever there is something important done in the community, every one of us has to take part in it. And I follow his instructions till this day. That synagogue was built and put in proper use. I am sorry to tell you that it was not in proper use since it was up to the time that we were taken to Auschwitz. And from there on, it was never in proper use. As a matter of fact, I went back there a number of times. It is completely demolished. When I was about 6 years old, I started to go to public school. Public school in the morning, and Cheder in the afternoon. Remember, Cheder is the Jewish school. We Jewish kids didn't like it because we were shortchanged of skiing and skating and playing soccer. But we also understood education. Education is the most important thing that we human beings can have. So we need to be good to our teachers, good to our parents, because they're giving us an education. And you can never lose it. You can't even lose it in Las Vegas. So Be very careful with your education and with your teachers. Going back and forth to school, we were attacked by anti-Semites, by Nazis. Sometimes we tried to fight them back. Most of the time we tried to avoid them so we don't run into them because they were stronger than we. My mother was fixing lunch for me and she makes a big pack and I'm telling her, this is too much for me. And she looked me straight in the eye and she says, this is not for you. This is for those that don't have. And we had children coming hungry to school in Hejtas and going home hungry. And my mother instructed me how to do it, so there should be no hard feelings like the haves and the have-nots and so on. And she also told me that the feelings are more important than the food. And I followed her instructions, and I follow her instructions till this day. I am sorry to tell you, she was murdered in Auschwitz. Here comes 1933, I was about 7 years old, Hitler came to power. And things really started to happen. The anti-Semites, the Nazis became more and more aggressive, attacking Jewish people, burning Jewish homes, breaking windows in Jewish homes and so on. It was getting to be bad, from bad to worse. Here comes 1935, the Nuremberg laws were written. They're available, by the way, you can see them, paper, you can read them. It consists for approximately 400 chapters dealing with different things. We'll go into maybe 2 or 3 of them. One is dealing with Aryanization. Aryanization meant to take property that belonged to Jewish people, businesses, and real estate or whatever, and sign it over to the Nazis. This was done legally. That's where justice has failed. Jewish doctors, dentists, teachers were not allowed to practice. Jewish children were kicked out of school. I was kicked out of school when I was about 11 years old. So till this day I have problem, I'm a little bit illiterate, but I get along all right. There were signs all over Juden raus. Jewish people were kicked off of streetcars or trains. Jewish people were considered Untermenschen, this is the German words for it, subhuman. We were subhuman. Other things like one of the very important things, chapter deals with Rassenschande, race disgrace, where Jewish people were not allowed to have any relationship with non-Jews, such as sexual relationship, intermarriages. It was highly punishable, by the way, very, very strict on that. Their theory was that their blood is 100% pure, and our blood is contaminated, no good. Of course it was a lie. They themselves proved it to be a lie. When they needed blood for the Russian, for the German soldiers in Russia, they took Jewish blood. It was good, Jewish blood, whatever they could get it to cure to keep their soldiers alive. I lost my train for a minute, but I'll get back. So this was going on, it was getting from bad to worse in the way they carried out. Jewish people were taken to concentration camps and so on. Here comes 1938, Anschluss. The Nazis marched into Austria, where they were greeted with open arms, flowers, kisses, and so on, because there were plenty of Nazis, anti-Semites in Austria at that time. They didn't waste much time. Soon the Nazis got in there, They picked up the Jewish people, made them scrub sidewalks and toilets with hand brushes and toothbrushes on their knees, spitting at them, kicking them, urinating on their heads to dehumanize them, demoralize them. Jewish people were taken to concentration camps in the thousands, for a one-way trip. They never came back, they never survived. It was a turning point, sort of. The same year, 1938, Kristallnacht. See, you get my age, I get hard trouble saying what I want to say. Kristallnacht. You probably heard that word before, crystal night. If you say it fast, it doesn't mean much. What was happening there at that time, Jewish homes, Jewish businesses were broken into, vandalized. Jewish people were attacked in the streets, beaten up, murdered. Jewish books, Jewish belongings were burning, just throwing them on a huge pile of fire. Jewish synagogues were burning. You remember synagogue is a Jewish church. Jewish synagogues were burning all over. Historians are telling us that hundreds and hundreds of synagogues were burning that same night, from November the 9th on to the 10th. Jewish people taken to concentration camps from where they never came back. It was another harder turn in history. Several days later, Hitler made a speech. Thousands of people showed up to his speech. Everybody is cheering him, "Heil Hitler, you're doing a good job, go and get him." Well, they encouraged him. One of the reasons, the way I look at it, I may be a little bit off, was it was financially and economically, it was very good for them, because as soon as they took us away from our homes, they moved in, they used our homes, they used our furniture, they used our clothing. It was financially and economically, it was very good for them. Maybe that is why they supported him, and they also tried to tell him that just take those Jews out of here and don't bring them back, because they were happy to live in our homes and to have our businesses and our properties and so on. That gave Hitler a lot of encouragement. Can you imagine, among so many people, nobody raised their hands and say, "Hey, what are we doing, taking our neighbors to concentration camps, killing them?" Nobody said one word. Everybody just encouraged them, doing a good job. So several days later, Hitler made a big speech. I already said that. He was encouraged, and he started to negotiate land for peace. He wanted Sudetenland, and he was negotiating with the free world. At that time, our president in Czechoslovakia, our president at that time was Dr. Eduard Beneš. He told the free world, if you give Hitler land, you will not have peace, you will have war. But the free world trying to avoid a war or this, so they gave Hitler Sudetenland. Naturally, Hitler was not satisfied with Sudetenland. He took over Bohemia, Moravia, part of Czechoslovakia we lived in, which was the most eastern part of the old map of Czechoslovakia. He gave that to the Ukrainians with a understanding that the Jewish people have to be liquidated. Liquidation means killing. They didn't waste time. They made up lists of Jewish men, including my father was on one of those lists, to be hung, to murder. This did not happen. Some miracle happened there that this did not transpire. We were occupied by the Hungarians, and they massacred those Ukrainians somehow. It was a big mishmash there, but here we comes 1939. At our age, when we become the age of 13 in our religion, 13 girls and boys, we have to assume all the responsibilities of a grown person. And I had a teacher that taught me my bar mitzvah, and he was a genius of a man. Not only do I remember what he taught me 70 some odd years ago, I still practice what he taught me. I am sorry to say he was murdered in Auschwitz. He was a genius of a man. We are in 1939. The Wehrmacht attack. Wehrmacht is the Third Reich armed forces. They attacked Poland. Poland capitulated in approximately 30 days. It was frightening. In the free world, there's nothing. That gave Hitler more encouragement. Eventually, he got into the Scandinavian countries, Belgium, France, and so on. Again, the free world is out for lunch, having a 3-martini lunch. So that gave Hitler more slaves to fight for him. Those that didn't want to do it, he eliminated them, killed them off. So he made everybody work for him and fight for him, whether they liked it or not. So he got into the Soviet Union, mind-boggling. Such a big country. In the south was Stalingrad in the south, and that's how deep he got into in Leningrad in the north. Leningrad was encircled, and they wouldn't let in any food into the city of Leningrad. It's a beautiful city. So people were starving to death. And that news came to Hitler, and Hitler said, good, that's exactly what I want them to die. I want them to starve to death. Here comes 1940. They rounded up all Jewish men, including my father, and took them to slave labor called Munkotabor. This is a German word for it, where they worked them day and night, starvation, beatings, torture, and so on, freezing in the wintertime. They also used Jewish men to be mine sweepers, because there were certain territories that were mined, so they wanted to sweep those mines so they can get through wherever they wanted to go. So they used Jewish men to sweep mines. The Jewish life was cheap. We teenagers at home had to go to slave labor called Levente, also a Hungarian word. They worked us day and night, loading and unloading military equipment and so on. Starvation, beatings, freezing in the winter time. Here comes 1941. They rounded up Jewish people from neighboring towns, in neighboring cities and neighboring countries, and brought them into our town. Our town was a border town, so they couldn't go any further with those trains in boxcars. Because the rails were not the same size. Several transport, they amounted to approximately 14,000 people, men, women, children, sick people. The picture is still in my mind and in my eyes. I remember a lady with a newborn baby. She's crying, the baby is crying. There was nothing we could do about it. The best thing we could do is give them whatever food we had, we shared it, but it was not enough because they were about 14,000 people. They were unloaded from those boxcars and put onto trucks. Some had to march on foot onto Kolomea and Kamenets-Podolsk, right close by where we live. Those that were marching on foot those that couldn't keep up, they were shot, killed, as long as they took their shoes, their clothing, their gold teeth, gold filling. That was standard procedure, by the way, the gold, the clothing. Some of them were just left for the vultures to. Those that reached Kamenets-Podolsk, they were chased into ravines. Everything was taken away from them, their clothes, their shoes, their gold fillings, gold teeth, with machine guns. Some of them were buried while they were still alive. Some of them were left for the vultures. Some were able to crawl out of those mass graves. By the way, there is a French priest that is going and looking now, and he's finding him. All those mass graves, there are the hundreds and hundreds of mass graves in those areas. There were some that crawled out were able to crawl out. They were not completely dead from those mass graves. So by that time they had run out of ammunition. They didn't have any more bullets to shoot with, so they tied their ankles and feet to the wrists and throw them into the river so they will drown. One night there is a hard knock on our door. Young lady, she was one of those that survived out of that river. It was a miracle how she could possibly survive out of that river. We had to clean up and change clothes so she can go and look for her parents or relatives. I hope she made it, and I hope she united with her people. We have never heard from her. Her name was Schwarzwald Charlotte. A few days later, there is a hard knock on our door, maybe 1 o'clock in the morning. Everybody has to get ready. We have to go to the downtown area. If somebody couldn't get out of bed, sick people, right away, just didn't ask any questions. And we were told that we have to follow their instructions right away, because if not, they shoot right away. There were 3 Torahs in our synagogue. The synagogue was not far from our house. You know what a Torah is? A Torah is the 5 books of Moses written by hand on parchment. And we go through those through the Torah from the beginning to the end. It takes 52 years approximately. So every year we turn around, we go over and over. We put those Torahs away in our home, nice, neat and clean. That was the last time we saw those Torahs. All the Jewish people were chased into the downtown area. We were put into a large building. The largest building there was in the little town was called Corona. It was a theater building. We didn't all fit in there, so some of us had to sleep outside in the rain and the cold. Several days later, we were marched to the Jewish cemetery. The Jewish cemetery is on a hill, and before you get to the hill, there's a flat piece of land. We were lined up there, and some of their secrets have leaked that we will have to dig our own graves and we will be machine gunned down, because this was the system of killing in those places in Eastern Europe at that time. Not Auschwitz was not quite as developed as later on, and what they did there is take Jewish people, chase them into the outside of the town or city. Some had to dig their own graves. Some Jewish people were taken and put into synagogues, and they closed the doors, locked, and threw in hand grenades, and they put the synagogues on fire. This was the system of killing in Eastern Europe in those days and in those places. This was done by Einsatzgruppen, which was, they had no other job just to kill Jews. And they were Einsatzgruppen A, B, C, and D, starting from the north. One of the northern countries was Estonia. Estonia was the first one that was reported to Hitler that it was Judenrein. That means no more Jews in there. All the Jews, that was Estonia. It was all cleaned up. So they worked from north to south. And this is how they did the killing in those days in Eastern Europe. So this was supposed to happen to us. Some of the secrets think that we will have to dig our own grave with machine gun down. All we could do is pray to God in our own different way, whichever way we could. And we did, we prayed to God. Some miracle happened. They got telephone or telegram, something that we were rounded up and taken to the railroad, into boxcars. Men, women, children, sick people, pregnant ladies, jam-packed, without food, without water, without toilet facilities, without enough air to breathe, doors locked from the outside. The locomotive gives that happy whistle that we are ready to leave. When those boxcars left our town, not one Jewish person was left in the town. Today, there is not one Jewish person in the whole town, and this goes for all the small towns around us there, not one Jewish person. There are a few Jewish people in the larger cities, but none in the small towns, all wiped out. Chuk, we traveled day and night. We didn't have enough opening to look where the sun is, so we could tell which way we are traveling, northeast. We had no idea. It was stop and go. The reason the stop and go was to hook up other boxcars from other cities and other towns and other places. And off we go, day and night, several days and several nights. Last stop, we are in Mátészalka. Mátészalka is a small city in Hungary. We were unloaded from the boxcars, put into a ghetto. We were fenced in like animals, without food, without water, without any place even to lie down and sleep or anything like that. There was a tall assessment there with machine gun across his chest, sidearm, and he had a stick in his hand, a long stick, with nails on the other end, and just hit anybody over the head, whoever he could reach, without saying anything or ask any questions. Several days later, we were marched to the cemetery in Mátészalka. We were told to give up everything we have in our pockets, a pen or a pencil, a notebook, jewelry, to give up everything we have. And we were told that they will search our bodies, and those that didn't give up everything will be shot on the spot. But they're talking about searching bodies, they're talking about human cavities in a very brutal and sadistic way. Naturally, we gave up everything. We were rounded up and taken to the railroad, into boxcars. Now this time it was a little different than before. It was because many of us had diarrhea and other health problems. So soon the floor in the boxcars gets covered with human waste. Off we go, chuk, day and night. Again, we could not tell which way we're going or where we are or where we come. Day and night. Last stop, doors opened up, everybody out in a hurry. Some were dead, some were dying, some were giving birth, some lost their reasoning. Some of us were able to get out. We were met by inmates. This was Auschwitz, but we had no idea where we are. We were met by inmates, most of them Jewish, maybe like 98% Jewish, so we talked to them in our language, in the Yiddish language. and we are inquiring, where are we? We were told Auschwitz. We had no idea what the word Auschwitz means, what it is, or where it is, or what it's supposed to be. No idea. So we keep on inquiring, so we try to find out what's happening. So we were told that we are going to be gassed and cremated. We thought these people are crazy, talking crazy talk like that. We did not believe them, of course not, because we knew that we are decent human beings, we are not criminals, we are, wherever we come from, we are decent citizens. So they showed us, you see those chimneys? Yeah, we looked, we could see those chimneys, smoke coming out of there. They asked us, can you smell it? Yeah, we could smell it. It smells like burning flesh or burning hair. See, I get stuck. I want to say something. A plain word like hair, and I can't get it. Okay. And we were told that this is waiting for us. We were chased forward with sticks, with dogs biting us. Schnell, everything was fast. Where we come to a point where there is Dr. Mengele. You probably heard that word before. He was the chief medical doctor in Auschwitz. He did a lot of experiments. He experimented on there were two sisters, twins, cousins, our cousins, my cousins, and they were chosen to be experimented on the Mengele. He had a big entourage. He had hundreds of doctors working for him. They survived the Holocaust, but they didn't live long enough. They were all messed up. They did not share anything with me what happens to them during their stay there. Here is the big entourage with Dr. Mengele, beautifully dressed. Their boots were shining like a mirror, and they didn't talk to us at all. Just go here, go there. They motioned, and if you didn't understand or didn't follow the motion, you get hit with a stick or with a whip or bitten by a dog. You go here, you go there. My mother and sister had to go one way. That was the last time I saw my mother. My father, my brother this way, we were separated from our father. He was murdered either in Auschwitz or Birkenau or on one of the death marches. We may talk about those a little later. Our group was marched on a huge pile of clothing, like a mountain of clothing, and we were told to undress completely, and everything was in a hurry. We got undressed completely. Then they could find out who's young, strong, you. They picked a strong young man. They told him to stand over there. We were told that they're going to work in the cookie factory. Of course, they lied to us with the usual thing whenever they want to mislead us with anything. That group was taken to work in the Sonderkommando. The Sonderkommando was a group of Jewish men, probably 98% Jewish. They had no other job to do but to work the gas chambers and the crematoria. In other words, some of them had to put in their own relatives or own mother or father into the crematorium. They had no other job to do but just work the crematorium and gas chambers. They consist of about 950 people. So they took this group to carry and drag the dead bodies from the gas chambers onto the huge fire pits. At the time when we were in Auschwitz, they were exterminating approximately 10 to 12,000 people in 24 hours. This transport kept on coming in into the gas chambers and out through the chimney. It was the biggest mass murder, the biggest catastrophe. And again, The free world did nothing. They could have bombed Auschwitz, they could have bombed the railroads going to Auschwitz. It did not pencil out money-wise. It was too expensive, according to what this is, in the free world didn't help any. Our group, we were completely undressed. So what I wanted to say that they were dragging those dead people and just throw them on the fire pits because the crematoria were not sufficient enough. They burned day and night and just throw the people on a huge pile of fire, like a mountain of fire, just thrown the bodies over there. Our group was marched into a barrack where all of our hair was clipped off. Wherever there was any hair on the body, it was clipped off. We are inquiring about some food, water, because we were hungry, thirsty. We were told we don't have to worry because we are going to the gas chamber. One of the reasons they say is because we were not tattooed, like most of the people that went to Auschwitz were tattooed. Our group was not tattooed because we were going to the gas chamber, so they were saving the ink or whatever. Several days later, the conditions in there were horrible. To the toilet, we could only go once in 24 hours, and those were the mass latrinas where hundreds and hundreds of people go in at the same time. They're still there, by the way. If you get around there, go and see it. We were marched to the railroad into boxcars. Now this time it was entirely different than before because there were no women, no children, no sick people, no elderly people, just young people, young men, like from 14, 15 years on up to maybe 40 or 42, into boxcars, similar as before. Off we go. The next stop, we are in Oberösterreich, Upper Austria, in a place called Mauthausen. It's very centrally located, so if you're ever around there, it's near Prague, near Budapest, near Linz. It's centrally located, so if you ever go to Europe, go and see Mauthausen in Upper Austria. There are, I've been back there a number of times. There are tourist buses from morning to night every day. So actually, it's a gold mine for the local government. It's a gold mine to have so many people coming. They use hotels and buses and transportation. It's a real gold mine for them. Mauthausen was famous or infamous, whichever way you would like to label it. They were famous for what they were doing in there, such as sadism, torture, sexual sadism, maybe things that are not even in the dictionary, interrogation. They were interrogating a Russian general by the name of Gorbachev. They tortured him to death. So after the war was over, the Soviet Union came and, they put up a nice monument explaining what was happening. There are other monuments, there are several monuments explaining what was going on. Mauthausen is a place that will be there for a long time because we built that by stone, from the stone quarry. So all those stone building and structures are still there. The wooden structures are not there, and just a few of them. I've been back there a number of times. The camp in Mauthausen is on top of a hill. There are 190 steep steps to go up there. By the way, there are pictures available of those steps and so on. You can read it up or look it up. So we had to run up those steps. Most of us didn't have the strength to walk. We were chased by dogs, biting us. They were sticking their rifles in our ribs to run fast. So some of us were able to get up there, and some did not. They were just left on those steps. Here comes nighttime. And the chief of the barracks said, every one of you, we all gonna sleep, every one of you. And we look around, nothing looks like sleeping, there are no blankets, no bedspreads, no beds, nothing that looks like sleeping, no mattresses, no straw, nothing. So he continues and he says, every one of you will take up this much room. He had no idea what he's talking about. So he knew that he don't know what he's talking. So he goes like this. None of us had any of this, and like this. And we still didn't know what's happening. And he says, gonna be egal Portugal sardine, like the Portuguese sardines, not that it makes a difference where the sardines come from, but this is what was his impression. So he lied down, he stretched himself out, lie down on one side. So that's where it comes. This, you only take up this much room. And his feet were in somebody else's face, and somebody else's feet were in his face, like this. We couldn't turn on the stomach or on the back. So maybe some of us did sleep because we have gone without food is bad, without water is worse. We were without sleep, so we were like zombies. So maybe some of us did sleep that night because, of course, we couldn't turn, just the way, that's it. We were inquiring about food, water. They told us not to worry because we are going to the gas chamber. Sure enough, a couple of days, we were all naked. We were chased into the gas chamber. By the way, it's still there, so if you ever go, you'll see it. There's a few steps going down. We were chased in there, jam-packed. The doors locked from the outside, hermetically closed. In a little while, we didn't have enough air to breathe. We had problems breathing, so some fell down because they couldn't breathe, or so they just fell down. There was nothing we could do to them or help them or anything. They were just trampled on. All of a sudden, the doors opened up, and everybody out to the Appellplatz. We were chased out. The Appellplatz is the place where most of the important things were done there. The commander of the camp made a little speech, and he said that the fuel to burn our bodies is too expensive. He will send us to a place where we are going to be, we will vanish without any cost to the Third Reich. We were put in groups of 2,000, 68,000, 70,000, and 72,000. We were standing there naked, my brother was right behind me. We were given numbers. My number, it was a piece of metal. That metal came from the cans that the Cyclone B came in. My number 68122, my brother's name 68122, 123. We were one number apart. He was holding on to me. Actually, he saved my life. He's 2 years older than I. He made sure that he doesn't lose me from his side. And we stayed together. This was one reason that I survived, maybe both of us that we survived. We were taken to the, by the way, I donated my number to the Holocaust Museum in Washington, D.C. If you get on the computer and put my number in there, you will find that number that I have donated. They made a big deal out of it. So it's on display for generations for people to see. We were marched to the railroad into boxcars. Now this time it was my number 4 trip in the boxcars, my number 4 trip. Last stop, we are in Ebensee. Ebensee was a sub-camp of Mauthausen. Mauthausen had approximately 40-some odd sub-camps. It was not a kindergarten, it was a big organization. conditions in there were horrible. Freezing, starvation, beating, torture. They worked us day and night, and we worked at night in the stone quarry, which is the Steinbruch. We were building underground factories to build missiles to go to Washington, D.C. and New York City. By the way, Warner von Braun, you probably maybe heard that name. Warner von Braun was the top man in Germany for the missiles. He came there to visit to make sure that everything is done right. And by the way, when the war was over, they brought Warner von Braun to the United States, and he became a big shot here. Freezing in the wintertime, the bottom of my feet was frostbitten, swollen. We still had to go to work. Starvation was horrible. To give you, for instance, what mental torture meant there, the commander of the camp would take inmates and have his hunting dogs bite them and tear their flesh, their clothes, whatever they had. We also had problem with cleanliness. We had no way to wash our body or our clothes, so we had lice, we had parasites all over, all kinds of parasites. Some that live under our skin and some in our clothes. I look around to see one of my fellow inmates is catching his lice and eating them, the parasites, beyond description probably. They hung people, and we were told that this is what happens to people that try to escape. The commander of the camp took inmates and chased them into the bushes and does his hunting with his hunting dogs for pleasure. He was, to say sadist is not maybe the right word even for it. It was some kind of a beast, I don't know. His name was Anton Ganz. Starvation was so bad that cannibalism became stylish. Some people turned to cannibalism. I don't know what I did. I cannot quite say this way or that way, but I do know that I did not attack a body or to eat. Whether I ate it or not, I don't know. But we were from starvation. We had no muscles on our or flesh on our bones, so we were all hauled off by the crematorium. The crematorium didn't work either. There was no fuel, or for some reason the crematorium did. So we were just piled up, a pile here and a pile here and a pile here to be bulldozed or whatever, taken care of. So I was taken, there were thousands of